Hello and welcome to Knife AQ episode number 169, the show where we answer all your questions, whether they are sharp or dull. Today, we're joined again by Thomas.
The other guy.
The other guy. We are the B team for this week, but we are still happy to answer all your knife questions. So,
Whether they're sharp or dull.
let's jump into it. First question of the day is from @msteen1314, who asks, "Hi, I'd like to put this out to you and anyone else to comment on. Please keep in mind that this is coming from a willingness to understand." Thanks for putting that out.
It's admirable.
Yeah. For the longest time, I have seen what I have believed to be SAKs, short for Swiss Army knives, and wasn't impressed as they seemed poorly built, etc. Today, I made a trip to my local knife shop and looked at a selection of genuine SAKs. I still could not grasp the allure of these knives other than as jack of all trades, master of none. Is that the allure? As at best, all were competent but nothing special. I know they are well respected, having watched many videos. Can someone comment on the attraction? Thanks.
We might have contributed to a few of those videos.
Yeah. Swiss Army knives tend to come up a lot, but
The single biggest knife maker in the world.
yeah, it's undeniable.
Something's working.
Something's working over there in Switzerland. They are making and selling more knives than anybody else on the market. And here's what I would say about the answer generally. Describing them as jack of all trades, master of none is true, but only if you ignore their absolute mastery of accessibility. I think they, truly more than anyone else on the market, are easy to understand, easy to give and use to non-knife people. They offer a lot of functionality to somebody who wants a pocket knife but doesn't want to carry a pocket knife, if that makes sense.
I think it's that they strike that balance between functionality and accessibility.
Yeah.
For instance, I have our editing PC, very powerful computer. This is going down a tangent, but powerful computer, very good for editing.
Mm-hmm.
In a pinch, I could do that on that laptop. I'd rather not, but it's there if I need it.
Right, but you can take the laptop more places.
I can take the laptop more places.
Mm-hmm.
My phone is another extension of that. Most of my emails are done on the laptop. I could also do it on my phone if I had to. If I get a text, it's easier to deal with on the phone, but show up on my watch too. So it's finding that stage of accessibility and practicality that I think Swiss Army figured out. And I think the key to doing that is how many they make.
Yeah.
Like how many different ones. Like you're going to find the Swiss Army knife that works for you.
Yeah, that's right. They make so many kind of different permutations and combinations of all the different tools that if you go searching through their catalog, eventually you're going to find a set and a size that really works for you.
They even got one for golfers.
Yeah. This is the classic, probably the best-selling Swiss Army knife. Maybe unsurprisingly, it is the smallest and easiest to carry.
Yep.
I see these on keychains all the time. It's got a blade and a file / screwdriver, as I separate them there. And on the other side, handy little pair of scissors. Then tucked away in the scales, toothpick and tweezers. Just classic implements in there.
Yeah, in a pinch.
In a pinch, yeah. Tiny, tiny size. You could put this on your keychain. It's smaller than some keys. It's lightweight. The plastic scales, they tend to get some scratches over time, but they hold up. They don't, decay or they don't pop off.
Yeah. And after enough time, you just get another one in a different color. There's so many.
Yeah. In fact, let's look at how many we actually have in the series. Boy. There are 84 on the site right now. So even if the classic red is not to your liking, man, there are so many other options. We have exclusive designs with unique artwork.
Camo patterns.
Camo.
Yeah, A-locks. There's a Damasteel one.
Yeah, you can even spend $250 for a fancy Damasteel emblazoned one. So they're popular.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to address in your question was their quality. because, before the Swiss Army knife army comes at you in the comments, I can see where you're coming from.
Be gentle, guys.
If you're coming from a place of really high-end pocket knives like this, we're kind of skipping ahead here, but this Riot made T6000, this thing is made with, tolerances that go beyond like aerospace spec. They are just dialed in to the thousandth of an inch, and you can see and feel that. And if you're coming at Swiss Army knives with kind of looking for that out of your knife, I can see why you'd think that they appear to be a bit crude and a bit primitive, shall we say.
Yeah, but bearing in mind, these have been made this way, near as makes no difference, for decades.
Yeah.
The same way, over and over, consistently.
They're very refined in a different way
By
than
comparison,
that Riot is.
this came out this year.
Mm-hmm.
With the advancements in machining and everything, of course it's going to feel a little tighter.
Yeah. Well, and, the materials are nothing special. The blade steels are simple, but that's because it works for the majority of people. This is a knife built for everyone, and that means it has to be very stainless. It has to be very easy to sharpen, and I think where Swiss Army knives actually their quality does come through is in the quality control. At this point, I've handled hundreds, if not thousands, of Swiss Army knives, and they all feel exactly the same.
You know exactly how they're going to feel.
The spring tension is dialed in perfectly. The tools are never hard to open, even if you have weak fingernails. Achieving that is a massive manufacturing undertaking. What they're able to do there in Switzerland, considering how much these cost, is really remarkable, and I think arguably very high quality, just in a different way than that Riot is.
Not a huge surprise, considering it's from a country that's known for really precise watches.
True. Yeah. Maybe there's a little bit of
There's
the
something in the
something
water.
in the water, the air over there.
It's the mountains. I think. The Alps.
This is, well, as long as I have it in my hand, this is the compact.
Your compact.
This is actually my compact. So just to show that, I'm putting my money where my mouth is, so to speak. I carry this one pretty much every day. It lives in my bag. It's my portable DOP kit. I use it to trim my nails. The scissors come in handy for that all the time. I got the full-sized scissors on this tool. Got the corkscrew, which I admit I don't use all that often, but I do use this little micro driver that's hidden in the corkscrew all the time.
For glasses, huh?
Oh yeah, comes in handy for sure. It's a tool set that works for me. It is small enough that I don't mind just tossing it in the pocket of a bag. And just to show my true dedication to the Swiss Army knife lifestyle, this is my true EDC, because this right here is almost always on my person, and this is a Alox Rambler, sadly discontinued. Victorinox, please bring these back. But it's the same size as that classic with just a slightly different tool set. For me, I forget that this is in my pocket. It hangs like a keychain, just clips onto my belt, and that's kind of my minimum viable EDC knife, and I get a lot of use out of it.
And they're no stranger to making big stuff either.
Yeah.
So this is the Outrider, more of a camping multi-tool.
It's fair to say. Yeah.
Much bigger blade. It's also a locking blade, so that can more heavy use. We've got some scissors in here. I actually forgot everything that's in here. There's a saw, wood saw. Victorinox makes pretty good wood saws.
Mm-hmm. None of their tools are an afterthought, too. That's another kind of like check mark for Victorinox in terms of their quality. If they put a tool on one of their knives, it's gonna do the job as intended. There's no, well, maybe the parcel hook you could make an argument, but it would hold a parcel. I'm pretty sure.
If it was me, I'd just leave it on all of them.
Just a troll.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they do the job. Their saws are serious cutters. They really chew through wood. The scissors are precise. They make very crisp cuts in delicate materials like you want a pair of scissors to do. Their bottle openers open bottles, and their can openers open cans. They just get it done. And
if all these arguments are falling on deaf ears, Boker makes some multi-tools. You want this style but upgraded blade steel, MKM Malga and the Campo. It's a growing market.
Yeah.
So there's something out there for you, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And further to your comment about jacks of all trades, my Leatherman Free, I keep this on me when I'm working in the garage, just to have it. It's like if I need a set of pliers or something.
It's not better than a dedicated set of pliers, but it is on you already.
If I just need to grab something at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But my big toolbox full of tools is still right there.
Yeah.
This isn't going to take off a power steering pump.
Yeah.
I should try though.
Yeah. You could get it done. You have tenacity.
Maybe.
All right. The next question is from Chase Wells 5464, who asks, "Hey DCA, I need a replacement for a utility knife. I'm a leather worker, so I go through a lot of blades. Do you have any suggestions of Wharncliffe style blade shapes, as budget as possible, $50, about as high as I want to go, about 2 to 2.5 inch blade length, and either a very hard steel or easy to touch up steel? I can sharpen, so that's not a problem."
So that price budget, if you're looking for a long-lasting steel, D2. Easy.
Yeah, that's probably the best you're going to find at that price.
Yeah. I did want to mention this one. I don't know how your thoughts are on button locks. The CJRB Mini Pyrite comes in RPM 9 steel. It's exclusive to Artisan Cutlery and CJRB, where they were looking to get that kind of D2 edge retention for this price bracket. So I think that's a pretty solid option. It's coming in the blade size you're looking for.
Nice.
I don't know about the color.
You got if black's not to your liking, there's a few more options. We got blue.
Yeah, that
comes in pink.
Yeah.
And at 44,
and I'm assuming you're a leather worker. You've probably got dedicated tools for cutting leather, and this is your other knife, the one you beat up to open other things or cut other things.
Yeah, I can see why a leather worker would gravitate towards a Wharncliffe blade shape. That the precision at the tip and the agility there to just make tight curves.
Probably
as you go
very
around
well
things.
Practiced with a Wharncliffe or sheep's foot or something like that.
Yeah, makes sense.
So yeah, Mini Pyrite.
Yeah, $45.99, so that's just under your budget there. Really fun. If you value what a button lock brings to the table, especially the fidget factor, this is a really cool option.
Yeah. I'm going to go out of order here real quick and pick up the CJRB Razelcliffe.
CRKT.
Yeah, CJ, CK.
Yeah.
I lose track. What we got here is 2 edges, one up at the front, so you can do more chisel tasks. Frame lock, so nice and strong. Not an assisted opening, which in this price bracket, not usual, not common.
Yeah, we chose a couple of non-assisted openers, but you're more likely to see assisted opening in this budget space.
Yeah, but my other thought, my personal view on assisteds, I'm always worried I'm going to close it on my finger. Because I'm like, is that the back spring or is it my thumb? I don't know. That's me, though. That's my failing.
Let me see. Yeah, you've opened and closed a lot of knives on camera.
Not as many as our photographer, though.
True. Who's actually manning the B cam right now. Shout out.
He opens every knife that comes through here.
Yeah. Tom.
Yeah.
We got a whole team here.
Yeah. Just no David.
Yep. Who will be back, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Worry not. Those of you who've been missing David, he is not going anywhere.
He's fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about him.
Just stuck with us for the time being.
All
right. This little guy is on sale at the moment, too, which is another good reason to pick one up now. $26.95. Heck of a price for a uniquely capable little tool. Like with that forward edge, it's just going to bring more capabilities to the table. Good scraping, good for lifting off labels or getting under something gluey or I don't know. Anything you would do with a little razor blade, you could kind of do with that front edge.
It's your utility blade. You beat it up.
Yeah, exactly. And for the price, you don't have to worry too much about it. You still get a really well-made tool.
Yeah. Speaking of, the Wharncliffe of Wharncliffes is this Spyderco Bird, though.
Yeah, that is the only true Wharncliffe on the table here to answer your question.
So this is the Robin. I went with this because it felt like just a default answer.
Yeah.
It made sense as a default answer, but I don't know about how little clearance you get on a cutting surface, though.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Wharncliffes kind of suffer that flaw. There's just no belly to...
Yeah.
And especially when it's this small, too, you kind of end up leading with the tip whether you want to or not. But
a utility blade, you're probably slicing open a box or a package or something. You might not be working with the surface at all.
Yeah, true.
So I retract my statement.
Change your mind on camera.
Yeah.
These are on sale, too. $23.26. If you really want the perfectly straight blade of a true Wharncliffe, this is a fantastic option for the price. And Bird, for those of you who don't know, is Spyderco's kind of budget brand subsidiary. And it brings a lot of the same features that people love about Spyderco knives to a much more approachable price point. In this case, you get the forward finger choil, which is a popular feature on a lot of Spyderco knives. It sort of functionally lengthens the usable handle space here. So rather than being stuck to just the part of the handle that's covered in with these injection molded scales, you can choke up, get even closer to the blade, get all 4 fingers on there. Actually, I'm curious how this fits you because your hands are a little bit bigger.
Mine are a little bigger. They're not quite David size, but
bigger than mine.
That's all 4 fingers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so great control out of that blade. Yeah. Great price, not too expensive to where you're not going to want to beat it up.
Yep.
Those things were made to be used.
Last, though, and this is still in the budget vein, the Honey Badger. This is just the small flipper, Wharncleaver blade. So you got Wharncliffe, but it's a little hump, so Nest Mucky.
I'd call it sheep's footy.
Yeah,
bit
cleaverish.
It's in between a bunch of things, but you get the mostly straight profile of a Wharncliffe.
Yeah, but these are cheap. These are super affordable, built very well. No qualms about using it hard. And this one's blue, so you're less likely to lose it in your shop.
Oh, yeah. True.
I figure leather workers working around a lot of brown. Blue's gonna pop.
True. Yeah, these little Honey Badger knives are great. I would say, actually, other than the CGRB on the table, this one is kind of the most expensive feeling.
It's a little longer than you're looking for. This is the smallest one that they do.
Yeah, 2.8-inch blade.
But I think that's good value.
Yeah, you don't want to go too small without...
and this is the stainless, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's 8CR 13 MOV steel.
Easy to maintain.
Yeah. At your price point, it's pretty much only going to be D2 or something like 8CR or one of its equivalents, AUS 8. But you said you're willing to sharpen and...
I mean, Leatherworker probably maintains its own tools.
Yeah.
You already know how to sharpen.
Yeah, these steels are easy to sharpen, easy to maintain. It's tough, actually surprisingly tough for being a stainless. Nowhere near something like Magna Cut, of course, but tougher than you might think for being a budget stainless steel.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Hope that helps.
I like that these have contoured scales.
They do, and that's the benefit of injection molding.
Yes. Only injection molding can give you both a kind of complex ergonomic shape to the handles at a budget price. And Honey Badger have utilized the material quite well. It's really comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, even in the reverse grip, which usually doesn't work for a lot of folders, I don't know, it's working.
Yeah, not bad in my hands.
I dig it. Yeah, I dig it.
All right. Who's next?
Oh, next, we're going to get to a measure once, cut twice question. Now, this one's fun because, while David's on vacation, I guess I kind of thought maybe we'd take a look at one of the questions he answered and do our take on it.
The cat's away, so this mouse is going to play.
Yeah. So this was one from FAQ 167, I think. Here it is. From Anayeron Piano. And did he also have trouble saying
David never reads the names first either.
Oh, boy. Well, I'm just jumping right into it. We're going to do it. You know who you are. You can see your name on screen. Anyway, the question. Hi, Dave. Do you have any recommendations for a premium folding beater knife? No budget, just a knife you wouldn't hesitate to use for anything and everything. Not because it's cheap and replaceable, but because it can stand up to it.
So David did talk about the Sebenza. That's a very easy answer to the question. He also mentioned the Demco 8020s, 8020.5s.
Yes.
You wanted to show more Demcos, though.
Yeah. This immediately sprung to mind, and as soon as these landed on the shelf, I just knew that this was the perfect answer to the question. We have a bunch of answers, but I think right now this is probably the top answer.
So these are straight up the 8020s, not the 20.5s, correct?
Yes. Although this is a new variant, these they're calling the AD20i. So the story behind this is
Are they internet connected or
like your iPhone. I don't think so.
no? You can buy them on the internet though.
You can buy them on the internet. The I in this, it's an interesting story. So the Demko AD20 has been one of the most sought after, most popular knives since it hit the market. At this point, maybe like 2 years ago.
It feels like that long, yeah.
Every run sells out basically immediately. You know, and Demko wants knives to get into the hands of people who want them. They're great knives. They deserve to be used. So to do that, he sort of contracted an Italian manufacturer to help out with part of the production. So these blades are actually from Italy. They're Italian made. They're made from 20 CV steel. But the handles are straight from Demko's Pennsylvania shop. And they're also assembled and finished in Demko's shop. So the final process happens in where is it? It's Wampum, Pennsylvania, where the shop is at. And they shipped to us from there. We're actually right now the exclusive dealer to carry these. They will be broadly available at some point, but for now you can only get them from us.
Fast.
Yeah, $425 for this knife. So very much in that premium tier. I mean, that's a chunk of change for sure.
And it's the 8020. Like this is a capable, strong. Like that lock is fantastic.
Yeah, Demko is a real wizard of both of knife design, but specifically of lock design. This is really, I think, his best lock. And I'm just going to say it, the Triad's amazing, but this just has that extra style factor. I mean, it's fun to fidget with. It's ambidextrous.
I would say this is his 9th symphony, but he probably got a few more in him.
Yeah, he will continue innovating, I'm sure. But man, the Shark lock is so sweet. Almost feels a little bit like a crossbar lock in the way that you can just sort of pull the bar back and flip that thing open. But it is extremely strong. Similar to a Triad lock, there are kind of many points of contact here and a stop pin that holds everything together. So it definitely fulfills the beater knife portion of your question. Something that you're just not going to hesitate to use hard. Premium in price point, but I think its looks are kind of utilitarian with the kind of diamond plate texturing on these milled G10 handles that give you tons of grip. It's the kind of thing that, sure, it's pricey, but it's going to look even better after you use it. It's not the kind of pricey thing you want to just keep and preserve.
It'll wear in well.
It's going to wear in beautifully, take some nice battle damage, and just look better for it.
Yeah.
So we got these in black and gray right now. Want to grab that one? Yeah. Very, very cool knives.
Take your pick.
And the drop point shape. I don't know if I've seen this on an 8020 before, so if you're a drop point fan like David is.
He is.
Yeah.
When it's done, that's muck.
This might be the best all-around blade shape for your beater knife needs.
Well, speaking of big.
Yeah, this next one is the Riot T6000. Man.
So we first saw this at SHOT Show. Interesting lock. It's a frame lock, first of all. But this frame lock can be stopped.
So it actually has two separate locking mechanisms. That's what really makes it double strong. It's not just a lock for your lock. Like a lot of these kind of secondary frame lock knives on the market, they have some little extra dongle that kind of keeps the frame lock closed. This one does not work like that. This one has an entire secondary locking mechanism, separate from the frame lock, that pins the blade in place when open.
And it's these pins right here. You can push that one in, and there's another one on the other side. Either one works. And now, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's a nice extra safety. You disengage those pins by pushing on this slider here. Just pop out, and it's a regular frame lock again. And they'll also pinch closed.
Yeah. So safety, kind of locking it closed,
Yep.
locking it open. I would say that this is stretching the definition of practicality, frankly, just because of its proportions. But that's not what this knife is about. This was designed to be the ultimate beater knife. Over-engineered in every aspect, extraordinarily broad for an extremely thick and durable blade, but also for a really hand-filling grip for a folder. That is a chunk of titanium and zirconium to hold on to. There are no kind of concessions here to weight relief. Zirconium is an extremely dense and heavy metal. So this thing feels like the tank that it is. A lot of overbuilt knives kind of look tougher than they are. This one is tougher than it looks, and it looks pretty tough.
It makes me think of the Mercedes G-Wagon.
Ah. Oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It looks very fancy, but it'll go in the Sahara.
Yeah.
Not that I've tried.
I like that metaphor. This is the Mercedes G-Wagon of folding pocket knives.
Yeah.
At $497, it will...
It's a lot cheaper than a G-Wagon.
Yep. And it'll get you through the desert.
You got another one on here.
Yeah, the next one, as I unlock the secondary lock on this thing.
It does take a minute.
Yeah. That's the Spyderco stovepipe. So this one comes in at $480. And the reason I chose this one actually is because in the closed position, this little protuberance here on the blade was designed to be used as a pry tool. So you can get it in your hand like that and get under a paint can lid or whatever you're working on, put some serious torque on there without, compromising the strength of the edge. So that's kind of a different take on a hard use tool for a premium beater knife. And I like the balance that it gets you, because unlike some of these other options that have thicker blade geometry that sacrifice some sort of slicing performance to get you that ultimate toughness, the blade here is actually hollow ground. So the edge is quite thin and usable. And if you're kind of careful or smart about how you use this blade shape, there's still a lot of thickness here once the grind panel stops, that you can apply some serious torque to some cuts as long as you're not actually torquing the actual edge. So I don't know, there's a bit of finesse to this premium beater knife, but I think it's a pretty cool option. Pretty stylish too.
Yeah. And frame locks are nice and tough. This titanium frame, titanium's good, strong, but still light. They finished it to make it look like it fits on the work site.
Yeah, the aggressive kind of stonewash, doubled finish. It's gonna hide scratches well.
Yeah,
gonna look good with a few new scratches too.
So it's a Spyderco Sabenza.
Well, I don't know about that.
I just made somebody mad.
But it is one of the rare Spyderco frame locks. They rarely make a titanium frame lock, and the ones that they do make have all quite interesting characters. Lots of little details on here too that kind of elevate and justify the price point. The pivot collar here acts as an over travel stop that prevents you from overextending this lock bar when you're going to unlock it. Nice kind of integrated, handsome way to incorporate that into a design. It's got a sculpted titanium pocket clip, which is another rarity for Spyderco. Mm-hmm. So really kind of the total package here. If you vibe with this crazy design, I think it's an awesome hard use option.
And you can come down a bit in price for something hard use. The Benchmade 940 Osborne was designed as a hard use knife.
Yes, designed by Mr. Warren Osborne.
Yeah, he's a rancher. He made a spay blade. I'll concede that.
Yeah, the original reverse tanto came from spay blades.
Kind of a spay blade.
Yeah,
I'll give him that. But the axis lock is a proven design of the past. 20 years?
25.
25.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talked about this at SHOT Show, I'm sure.
It's
hard to go wrong, and it's some Joker colors. I dig that.
Yeah, that is the original colorway of this knife. Hard to believe that such a wild kind of... Back when this came out, knives did not look like this.
It still looks like a fresh design.
Yeah, that is arguably still the ultimate hard-use gentleman's knife. I think $216 qualifies to be a premium knife for sure. So if you don't want to spring all the way up to the
they can get up
400
there.
and above
Yeah.
price,
But those will still perform.
this is still this is a hard use knife.
Yeah.
Despite its kind of skinny proportions, the
Mhm.
blade, that space shape, that reverse tanto shape, and the geometry, the edge, give it some meaningful toughness. It's not the best slicer, but I mean, I've seen people use these as screwdrivers, and I would not recommend that, but people do it. So they kind of are built to take a little bit of that
this one hadn't
abuse.
come out to be used as a screwdriver yet.
Right. If you're going to use it as a screwdriver, please try not to use the edge.
Yeah.
Use the top of the grind
Or
instead.
get a Swiss Army knife and carry that.
Exactly. There you go. Jack of all trades.
Yeah. Hope that helps. Who's next? Well, I think we got a lightning round.
Yeah. So next we're going to. Did you edit in some thunder there, Thomas?
We have a graphic.
Future Thomas?
We have a graphic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can see I'm a regular watcher of the
Do you
series.
never watch these?
I actually do. I do. Okay, lightning round. So let's go quick. Hello, DCA and Thomas. What
Hi.
knife with a soul or a personality would you recommend for less than $100? Not necessarily the best one from a technical or technological point of view, but something with a history, a personality, an identity, something a bit quirky maybe, something that works well for some things, slicing maybe, or is it a working knife, or question mark? But a knife that would trigger questions from friends and would be fun to talk about. I gave this one some thought, and in the end, for under $100, I landed on the humble Spyderco Delica. These come in at $94.50 right now, VG10 blade, FRN handles, but I do think there's a lot of soul in this design. For non-knife people, this is a design worth talking about. It does not look like other knives.
Yeah, it'll raise some questions.
The hole in the blade, what's that? You know, why is your knife blue? A lot of knives still don't look like this, even though this has been a very influential design, which is part of what I think gives it its soul. Like, this design reaches all the way back to the first Spyderco knives, which kind of gave us the archetype of the modern pocket knife in many ways. One hand opening and a pocket clip were Spyderco innovations, at least on a production scale. And the Delica, it has more in common with those early designs than it does, you know, the newfangled even flippers and button locks and fidgety stuff of today. It's just a backlock, but it's very practical. I love backlocks for their safety, for the fact they have a self-close, so that, for example, if you drop it, the blade doesn't go swinging open. The design, like the ergonomics here, work well for just about everybody. The blade geometry is excellent at slicing, so you're still getting a high-performance cutting tool, even at under $100. And furthermore, this is made in Japan, which has a history of making, you know, high-performance cutlery stretching back to before the samurai age, you know, like before even America was a country. There's so much history here of cutlery, of knives, of knife design that I think the humble Delica has got a very interesting soul.
See, I don't want a knife with soul because then I got to call the exorcist again.
All right. I hope that was short enough to qualify as a lightning round.
Lightning round, Seth.
It's just one answer, though. Okay, lightning round. Rolling on, it is from Birchie1224. Hey DCA, my favorite knife is the tragically discontinued Benchmade 943 Osborne.
Not pictured.
Not pictured. Well, maybe we can get a picture. Is it on this side or the other side?
I put it here.
Okay, thank you. I really love the blade shape. Oh, just one love, sorry. I really love the blade shape, and I've tried to find a suitable replacement, but I just can't. Tried the Tactile Maverick, but the action wasn't quite right. What would you recommend? So, well, you saw this picture. The 943 Osborne is just like a 940 in its handle, but
pointier.
Pointier, yeah. It's got a clip point blade shape. It comes to a aggressively thin point. Immediately my mind went to the Artisan Cutlery Andromeda. This one is one of the more affordable options at just $55.99, but If you wanted something more comparable to the 940 in terms of materials, there's a titanium version that comes in at $200. But look at this design. I mean, it's got the same slender but stylish look to it. It's almost the exact same size. And even though it doesn't have a compression lock,
Axis lock.
thank you, axis lock, crossbar lock, if you will, it's got a button lock that has a bunch of the same advantages. Keep your fingers out of the way of the blade. Great smooth action. Yeah, I think this is the one.
And if that axis lock on your 943 grew on you, I think the button lock will grow on you too.
Yeah.
It's worth a try. I mean, there's a $56 version. You can just give it a shot.
Yeah. This one's worth a shot. This is a great knife. Yeah. Kind of underrated even.
If not, you can get a regular Osmore.
You could. You could grind away the tip, try to remake it yourself. Give that a shot. And if you're really hungry for just a crossbar lock, check out the
we got a whole page of crossbar locks. Just scroll through that until you find a shape you like.
Yeah, hope that helps. All right.
We got some most serious things.
So this one is kind of fun. So our most serious questions today, the answers are actually going to come from you, the commenters, because couple weeks ago, no, last week I asked on a new knives video for suggestions as to what we should call the generic name for Spyderco's compression lock.
Because the compression lock the patent has expired.
Patent has expired.
But it's still a Spyderco brand name.
Yes, it's a trademark.
So we can't really call it a compression lock.
So we need another name for it, just like we did with the Benchmade axis lock to crossbar lock.
And Vosteed has been doing this. They it is button actuated, but it is the compression lock in function and form.
Yes. So we sent out the call, you all answered, and here are your most serious answers.
So serious.
Bob's Pocket Knives. What should we call the compression lock? Let's call the lock Steve. It's a name.
Steve lock?
I don't want to say fart lock.
Just did. The folding ambidextrous reverse tanto.
Okay. You got your fart joke in there.
I don't know about that one.
And from Paulo Barata 6377. After looking at my wallet, I have a suggestion. Call it depression lock. I like that one.
I think we need to keep looking.
Yeah, the hunt continues.
Yeah.
We will find an answer to this question. But until then, please feel free to leave your suggestions in the comments.
Throw your suggestions. Throw your questions in there too. This show lives on those questions. Just throw them down in the comments. And if you want to get your hands on any of these, really, all of these are available. It's mine. This one's mine. I'll leave links in the description to take you over to KnifeCenter.com. And don't forget about our Knife Rewards program, where buying a knife today means you'll get some free money to spend on a future purchase. Wow. Can you tell that Thomas has heard that said? Over and over. Like 600 times? I'm Thomas, normally behind the camera. I'm Seth, sometimes in front of the camera. We'll see you next time. Take care.